Hi, good afternoon. My name is Neal Parks. My ghost story pertains to the Majestic Theatre, which is based in Chillicothe, Ohio. This is also where I reside. This happened October Halloween weekend of 1996. They have, at that time, a usual monster movie bash where they get together and play 2 to 3 monster movies starting at around 9 p.m. and it goes well into midnight. That evening, a few friends of mine and I, dressed in costume, went to the Majestic and went basically for a good time. No intentions to do any kind of paranormal research, ghost hunting, nothing like that. Of course, the history pertaining to the Majestic Theater, there's been a lot of stories that have been told about ghostly encounters, about people seeing shadows, seeing full-bodied entities, capturing spirit orbs or energy hazes or energy orbs in pictures, and hearing voices coming from the stage or hearing footsteps when no one's there. That was not even a part of any of the reason why we went to the Majestic that night. We just went to enjoy some cheesy horror flicks. The first film that played that night was Plan 9 from Outer Space, one of the classic Ed Wood films, which has been declared as the worst film in cinema history. So after the movie ended, at that point intermission started, and a lot of people went to the snack area. I went to the restroom because I'd had so much tea to drink at that point. And when I went, it's really weird how it's set up because it's almost as if it was built for shorter people. And as I'm walking in, the ceiling goes in an incline. I'm going down the stairs, and it comes to a landing. Then you take a left, and that's where the men's restroom is located. Down the hall is where the women's restroom is located. I take the left, go into the men's restroom, and it's still just, it's almost like it's made for pygmies. It's still just as stubby. And I walk in, the janitor all of a sudden was to my right. I walk in and nearly bump into him. And I say to him, "Oh, sir, I'm sorry, I didn't even see you there. I'm glad that I didn't slip on the floor and run into you." He didn't say a word, didn't even acknowledge the fact that I had just spoken to him. So I thought, he's a little aged, perhaps he couldn't hear me. So I go into the stall, take care of business, come out to wash my hands, and he's still standing in the same spot with a mop, mopping the same area of the floor. It was the same area where he was mopping as I walked in. And I said to him, "I bet that is the cleanest spot in the entire bathroom." And I laughed to myself and laughed a little out loud, chuckled, hoping to get a response. He didn't say a word. And I get that creepy feeling that I normally get when I go into areas upon points where I am investigating. Because what I do is I go to certain areas, historical landmarks, places around the U.S. where things supposedly occur, and I use pseudoscientific methodology to answer questions and with a spiritual aspect. And then I write books based on this topic in relationship to my investigations. But like I said originally, this was not even an investigative trip. So as I said this to him and chuckled, he stopped, stood straight, looked straight through me, it felt like. I wasn't even there physically, and went right up the staircase back into the lobby. It gave me a very eerie feeling, almost as if someone had jumped through my body and out the other side without even hurting me physically. And as he left, I noticed the floor was just as shiny as if it were in a Mop and Glow commercial, but there was no bucket present, no bucket of water. So this entire time he was mopping this area of the floor without using any water and without even taking a bucket with him up the stairs. It took me maybe 30 seconds to gather my bearings, dried my hands off, walked up the stairs rather quickly in hopes of catching a glimpse of this janitor, maybe in the lobby, maybe fraternizing with people, talking to people, and no one. He wasn't there. There were a few people waiting in the lobby. The movie had just started, the second showing, and maybe 5 people in the lobby. I'm standing at the main staircase at this point. There's velvet rope in front of me, and the staircase goes up. There's a landing, second floor, vice versa, same thing. Third floor is above that. And I felt like someone was peering down at me, almost as if they were floating above me. I looked up that opening into the staircase that was directly above me, and I saw a set of hands clasping onto the stair rail and a man peering down at me, and it was that janitor once again. He was looking at me as if he was confused because I saw him, or angry that I interrupted him or saw him. I knew at that moment that this was not a normal janitor. So I hopped the velvet rope, went up the first set of stairs, stopped at the landing, kept watching his movement, and he got to the entryway of the balcony area where the camera room is here, and then there's another entryway, another doorway. And I got to that landing, which then leads up to the second floor, and as I'm coming up the stairs, he looks at me, turns, and walks directly through that door. Directly through it. Not taking the doorknob and opening the door, but actually metaphysically walking through the door. Just completely vaporized. This then put that feeling in your throat where you feel as if you can't breathe, but you're trying to swallow food at the same time. It was a lot like that. I ran to that landing, grabbed onto that door handle, turned the door, opened the door after I turned the doorknob, and inside of that was a supply closet. Mops, brooms, name it. It was cleaning supplies. It was all in there. And as I shut the door and backed away, a cold rush overcame me, that weird tingly feeling, the hair standing on the back of your neck and so forth. And I looked down the hall of this whole area, and there are pictures along the wall that show people from years before, staff members, crew, camera operators, and that janitor. He was in one of the pictures on the wall from the crew and the cast that worked in that theater on a regular basis in the 1950s. He looked the same as he did in that picture the day that I saw him. And that is my ghost story.